Yep, yep. Welcome to the B&C Podcast. This is the Wednesday stream, and today we are talking about things outside of dating and sex. So we're going to talk a little bit about work because we've over focused a lot on relationships and dating. Let's help you today learn about work, the work environment, because at the end of the day, you need the money to start meaningful relationships. So there is this study that was published in the BBC yesterday, and it shows that 1 in 5 employees expect to change their jobs this year. It's focusing on the UK, but I mean, everywhere things are changing. The economy is tumbling, companies are firing people, others are freezing hiring, others are losing workers. So a lot of things are going to happen over there, and you could be one of those people where a company maybe is losing money or you want to try out something new. So according to this this BBC study, almost 1 in 5 UK workers say they are likely to change their jobs in the next 12 months as they seek better pay and job satisfaction. The study was published by the PwC, the PricewaterhouseCoopers, and it says that workers are starting to assert their power at a time when many bosses are struggling to recruit. It found younger and highly skilled workers are most likely to be unhappy in their jobs or seeking a raise. Some 60% also say they would prefer to work free or mostly from home. This is a quote from the PwC boss, Kevin Ellis. The economic outlook may be uncertain, but highly skilled workers are in hot demand, and employers can't be complacent. That's a very important point. Despite how bad the economy is, if you have the skills, highly sought after skills, you're always going to be needed. For instance, doctors will always be needed. Companies need very high-end software engineers, even civil, electrical. Most of those guys are always on demand. Anyway, in whatever field you're in, as long as your skills are top-notch, you're always going to have jobs waiting for you, because you never go to any recruitment platform and you don't find new jobs. So employees will vote with their feet if their expectations are on company culture, reward, flexibility, and learning are not being largely met. So many workers change jobs or left workforce during the pandemic in what economists dubbed the Great Resignation. And PwC said the trend showed no sign of slowing. Between January and March, there were more job vacancies than unemployed people in the UK for the first time since records began, according to the Office for National Statistics. The number moving from job to job also hit a record high, driven by resignations rather than dismissals. While regular wages, excluding bonuses, rose by 4.2%, though not as fast as the cost of living. So today I want us to talk about what you should consider before trying to get a job in a new company, or before you decide to leave your company. What are some of the factors that you should look out for? Because you don't want to leave your company and then land yourself in misery. It's not that every time you land a new job, things are going to get better. No. Sometimes you leave your job and then you find yourself in a mess, in hot soup. So number one, I think you should look very closely at company culture. Companies have diverse cultures. Some companies are very strict with their culture. They have things that you may not like. For instance, some companies, especially in the corporate world, like wearing uniforms, and you may be a person that doesn't like being so smart or putting on a specific dress code. You may be like going to work with t-shirts, so you want to wear sandals. So if you find yourself in a company whose culture is not what you expected, it's going to affect you. Or maybe they have a specific work schedule. They want a 9 to 5 employee, and maybe for you, you're not a morning person. So you find yourself in a situation where you're not going to fit in the environment that you're trying to enter. Then, of course, communication approach. Companies also have specific values around communication. Some companies, you find that the communication is laissez-faire. You call your boss by name. You call you. There's no authority on who. Like everyone, there's linear allocation of authority. So face the companies that are so casual, you find yourself where every morning you're greeting your colleagues, you have to add sir, madam, then maybe that's something that you would want. So company culture is very important when you're looking out for a new job. That especially around dress code, if you're someone who doesn't want a specific dress code and you find yourself in a company that is so strict with dress code, it's going to affect you. Then when it comes to communication, like I said, how do companies communicate? If you find that their style of communication does not match what they used to, it's also going to be a problem. Even the work, some of you have now become addicted to remote work. You work at whatever time you want. Sometimes you're in your bed, you're on your laptop typing emails. So if you find yourself in an environment where they want you at work at 8 and you have to leave at 5, and then you had forgotten that style of work, then it might become a problem. So, Rabon, we are talking
Yes,
about
Nicholas.
things, we are talking about things you should consider as you're seeking a new job in 2022. I don't know if you
Mm,
left your company today. What's one
mm.
thing that would make you leave, or what's one thing that you'd look out for? I already discussed company culture. I don't know if you can supplement or maybe give a new point. It's up to you.
Yeah, obviously there are many things that you're going to consider, but it depends on the level of development you are at in your career. If you're starting or you're just a fresh graduate from university, the things that you're going to look for in that new job or in any job are going to be different from someone who has already spent 5 years in their career. And it's also going to
Mm,
be different for someone who is looking forward to retirement. For example, if someone is 40 years, the things they're looking for in a company are going to be totally different from the things someone's just starting to work is going to look for.
mm,
So for that case, it's very hard to understand the culture of a company before you work with it. It's just going to
mm,
be rumors, or it's going to be an illusion, or it's just going to be an imagination. Someone cannot explain to you the culture at a company and you understand it
mm,
fully
mm,
be, before you get the experience to work in that environment. So
mm,
the culture, yes, you can base on it, but most of the times it's exaggerated, and you'll find that when you get to that job, you realize that things are different from what they told you they were. Or because I've worked with the, let me see, I've worked so far with about 5 institutions,
mm,
and the impression has been changing, especially when you see this advert and then the person tells you, yeah, this is a good institution, you try, the salary is good, the other, the welfare is fine. So you come with this impression that it's going to be a very good job that is going to give you joy. You apply, you go for the interviews, you pass through. And then things start changing when you report to work. Like what you perceived before joining start to change when you start working. So yes, culture of the company can be a good thing, but it's very hard to understand the culture and to know that it's the culture you're looking for before you start working with that company. So it's basically, to me, in my opinion, it's going to be something entirely dependent on the human being, on the person.
mm,
If you're starting, all you need is something to do. If you're someone who has worked for some time, all you need is a job better than your current job, a job that is going to provide more than your current job is providing. And sometimes I want to think that a job, most of the times, it's not about how much you earn. It's
mm,
about the respect you earn from the job that you do, either from the people you serve in terms of customers or from the people you serve, in terms of your bosses and supervisors. If you feel respected and people appreciate that you are good at what you do, it's always going to be hard to think about Can you hear me, Nicholas?
You've frozen a bit. Maybe you repeat yourself. You should repeat what you are saying. You had frozen.
Yeah, I say I think it's network that is disturbing me. I said that
Mm.
while at work, I just forgot. I would want you to remind me where I stopped, where exactly the network cut off, where it was from. But
I think you are talking about respect at work, like how if you feel appreciated, you are
yeah,
going
yeah,
to. Uh, mm,
yeah. The respect when you feel your bosses, your supervisors respect you for what you do. It's always going to be hard to think about leaving. But
mm.
again, because you remember the saying Aristotle, is it nature harbors nothing, something like that?
Nature hates vacuum.
The that human beings are motivated by changes. For example,
Mm-hmm.
when you are at a job, yeah, when you are at a job, this thought of I may lose the job when you still love it forces you or motivates you to work hard. But when you reach a point and you feel like there is nothing the job is adding on you, or there is nothing you are adding on the company, you somehow get kind of complacent and start thinking about leaving, even when things are okay, even when the salary is. Because I have seen people leaving very good, high-paying jobs,
Mm.
and they will tell you that things are not fine. And again, I have seen people who are staying on a job which is perceived as of low standard, in other words. So
Mm.
I want to think that it's not about how much you earn, it's more about other things that you get in addition to the salary that you get. And one of those things is a job that makes you feel human. For example, if you are in a work environment that is well cultured, that makes you enjoy what you do, that even when
Mm.
you get tired on work, there are those days you get a break, or there are those days you have functions like get together, functions like a party, field trips as a team, those
Mm.
simple things. The bonuses, maybe you were overworked and then at the end of the day you get that bonus you never expected. Those are the things that would make people stay at work. And I don't think someone would leave a job going to a company just for that for other benefits. It's going to be a lot of factors combined all together. But the moment the job gives you all the comfort, it's going to be boring. In other words, people get bored. Why? The reason they leave is boredom, you know, repetitive work. You're doing work the same way, day in, day out, no fun, nothing makes you feel human. Those are some of the things I think makes people leave.
Yeah, that's very true. So
Yes,
sometimes
Nicholas.
the work environment, yeah, that's very true. Sometimes the work environment is toxic. I find
Mm,
maybe the money is good, but you don't have a good relationship with the people you're working with. Maybe there's a lot of
mhm,
gossiping and you hate gossip, or there's a lot of internal politics
mhm,
that you think are making your life very hard. Or now like we're seeing these movements that are coming up of Me Too, or maybe the work environment is gender sensitive. You say something and then or you
mhm,
feel like every time you say something you're going to annoy someone, and you're no longer comfortable, but you no longer feel like you're free expressing yourself in that work environment. Or maybe for women,
mm,
they feel like the environment is toxic for them, is sexual harassment or something. So yeah, such things can make you leave a company. But in terms of culture,
Mm,
maybe to talk a little bit about what you're saying, that you can't fully understand the company culture before you work with it. Yeah, that's very true. But there are basic things that some people might not want. For instance, most of us get jobs through recommendation.
mm,
I'm your friend, I'm working at a given school, and there's an opening for teaching. I call you, "Hey, please come and we teach." So I may not give
mm,
you a very full picture, but I can give you some of the basics, like our salary always comes on 28th of the month. They require you to be at work at this time. The population of the school is this. If you're not a person that likes teaching over 50 students in one stream, you may feel like,
mm,
this is not my place. So there are some basic things that you may appreciate even before you join in the company, and you're like, no, this is not my place. But of course, you can never know
mm,
everything until you start working with the environment and you know everything about it. Then the other factor I maybe think people should look at is the company you are leaving. Are you going to a company that's growing, and maybe you're leaving a company that you think had stagnated and you want to go to something that is going to help you grow with. You could be in a traditional
mm,
company and you feel like there's no innovation there, there's nothing new happening, like you're talking about boredom. Maybe you want to change and work with a startup and be part of the
mm,
transformation. Yeah, that could motivate you to change. Then the other thing,
mm,
you also need to consider the environment you're going to. How are the what are the logistics around the place? You could have been getting
mm,
a smaller salary in a place that is cheap. But now that because they have
mm,
promised you a bigger salary, you find yourself in a place that is very expensive in terms of rent. The food is also expensive. Hangouts are very expensive. The facilities, medical facilities, if you have a family, maybe the schools around the area are also very expensive. So those are some of the things you have to consider. And the security of the environment. Some places have a lot of crime compared to others. So if for instance, you go and stay in a place near a slum, there are chances that you're going to find a lot of security issues. So you should also have that in mind
mm,
as you try to find new jobs. But mostly I think what is usually is important is the administration of the place. You need to find an environment that has good leadership so that you are not you don't find yourself in an environment that is going to make your work life very miserable. So I see my colleague has internet issues. You were off. I didn't realize that.
I can hear you, Nicholas.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
he had gone off.
Mm.
Did you notice?
But it's
Yeah.
okay now. I
So
can hear. Yeah, I noticed it. Mm,
yeah, for me that's it. For me that's it. My main points were about company culture, understanding the culture of the company you're going to. Then the most important thing I think to me is payment. Sometimes I don't think you can ever get enough motivation to work if your money is not paid in time. I've been through that experience and I don't think it's a very good place to be. So you should always go to companies that
mm,
make sense in terms of payment. Then number three, I think you should move to a company that you think is going to give you room for improvement in terms of learning, in terms of elevating your growth. Maybe you're in a company that couldn't give you room to go to an upper level. If you switch, if you feel like you can maybe get an upper position. Then logistics around the environment. You're going to afford the rent in the area. You're going to find transport services easily, hangouts, things like medical facilities, education facilities for people that have kids, yeah, and markets and things like that. For me, that's what I basically had for today. You can maybe add on that, or we can wrap it up.
mm. As we conclude, yeah. So for me, what I would say, it's a very bad thing for a man to be at a position of desperation when you're working
Mm,
for a boss, and then your boss learns that you have no other option. Like what your current job is the only thing you have, it's your last resort. So he's going to treat you the way he wants or the way he feels. And it's very hard for a boss to respect you or to even take time to listen to what you have to say, or even to give advice about anything, if he knows that you are that point of desperation, and if you that person who is so desperate for that job, it's going to be very hard to make choices about whether you don't like something about the company, or if you can even change anything. You'll just be doing whatever the supervisors are telling you, even when they are wrong. And when you are at that point, it's going to be very hard for you to innovate, for you to think creatively. You'll just be working in panic or at panic. And so, as a way of maybe looking for a job, you need to first settle down the basics, sort out the basics to be at that point when you can make good decisions, when you can think creatively, and when you can at least get that in your mind.
Yeah, he was talking about desperation. Yeah, it's not very good to look for a job when you're very desperate. It's not good at all, because it's going to be hard for you to have bargaining power. If you look for a job when you're in a very bad negotiating position, getting a good salary is going to be very hard, because you're going to be desperate, and whatever they offer you, you're going to accept. Yeah. So that's it for today. We are ending it from here. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Bye.